Hey, welcome here to a special video. I've got two guests here that are going to be joining me on this video, and we're going to be talking all about virtual real estate and specifically sharing some tips and ideas on how you can get started wholesaling houses virtually in any market in the US. Welcome to this video. Let's get started.
For a limited time, you can get a free copy of Jerry Norton's Virtual Flipper Kit with everything you need to flip houses without seeing them in person. Download it now at virtualflipperkit.com.
Hey, if you're new here to this channel, I'm Jerry Norton with FlippingMastery.com, and this channel is all about ways to make money wholesaling and flipping real estate so you can live your dream life. Be sure to subscribe and turn on the bell notifications so you don't miss new videos. And guys, welcome here. I've got Jamil Damji back on the channel. It's great to have you again. I think this is our third or fourth video here, and I just love having you. And we've got Cody Hofhine, who I've known about Cody. I've been around Cody. I used to live near Cody, but this is actually our first time in-person meeting, so I'm just really thrilled finally to get to hang out with you, Cody.
Excited to be here, my man.
Yeah, it's awesome. And welcome to the Norton compound, the home office here. And we're going to be talking about this topic here with you guys, and I really want both Jamil and Cody to weigh in on this conversation because both you guys do wholesale deals remotely, and we call that, you know, the cliche is virtual wholesaling, right?
Yep.
It's been, I think since COVID happened, it's been like this huge wave of interest in that idea around being able to wholesale houses from anywhere in any market. I've been doing it for a long time before it was kind of even a thing. We didn't even call it virtual wholesaling. We just called it wholesaling somewhere else, you know?
From my phone.
Yeah. And I know both you guys also do this in other markets away from home. And I put together a really cool thing for you guys. It's called, we call it the Flipper Kit or Virtual Flipper Kit. So if you go to virtualflipperkit.com, you can download that, and it basically walks through everything you need to do to get your first virtual deal, wholesale deal, you know, in the next 30 days or so. So check that out as well. And let's start with you, Jamil. Maybe you can weigh in and just share with us, first of all, right now, Keegley, your company that wholesales real estate, you've got these 13 markets outside of Phoenix where you guys are actively, consistently doing deals. And so that's exciting. I know, Cody, you guys are also, I think you were telling me when we were talking that you've got a really active business in Houston.
We're in Dallas, Fort Worth, and then our main headquarter hub is Salt Lake City.
Salt Lake City, yeah. So, but what's great is knowing these principles. I mean, could somebody bring you guys a deal and say, hey, or a lead, and say, hey, I got a lead here in Topeka, Kansas, and you guys be able to figure out, is it a deal, and make an offer, get a contract, find a buyer, wholesale it, close, all without ever physically seeing the house or going to a closing?
Yes.
And I think both you guys,
100% yes.
Which is really cool to know how to do that. So let's talk about it. What would you say, Jamil, let's start with you. What would you say is kind of maybe the first thing people need to be thinking about if they want to start looking at a remote market and considering this idea? What would you say would be the most important thing they need to start with?
Well, I think the foundation is the foundation of the business, regardless of whether or not you're doing it virtually or in your own backyard. And it's really understanding value, right? If you can get a handle on what a house is worth, then you can get a handle on what's a deal and where you should focus your time and energy. I believe the hardest thing for us to really comprehend and understand in this business, especially when we're first getting started, is what is this worthwhile? Should I actually continue to pursue this seller? Should I continue to pursue this opportunity? And really dialing that in. Once you have that foundation set, you can absolutely do this business anywhere. And comping, there are so many free comping tools out there.
Free tools now.
I mean, you know, I've done a video on how to do it on Zillow, and once you have that figured out, it's no holds bar. You can do this business everywhere.
Yeah. So the tools are all there. Like you can close remotely.
Absolutely.
You know, I do all where a traveling notary comes to me.
Yep.
If things need notarized, which they always do. I actually just did my first DocuSign closing. I don't know if you guys have done one of those yet. The whole closing was on DocuSign. I'm like, why can't we do this?
Was that one where you wholesaled the deal to somebody else, or did you take that one down?
I took that one down. So I was the buyer, took it down.
I think the rules are if you're buying with cash, you can usually sign on DocuSign. And typically when we wholesale houses, if you're assigning and not double closing, you're not even signing anyways, right? You're just in line item on the HUD, and so they just want to know where to mail the check. Right? And so the beauty of this is really, truthfully, you don't ever physically need to be anywhere.
So would your advice be though, Jamil, would it be, you know, just randomly kind of look for a one-off, or would you say if you want to do remote for whatever reason, not your backyard, would you say pick a market and learn the market? Meaning learn the values, so that way when leads come forward, you've got your head around, okay, understand values, the differences between the neighborhoods.
So if you are going to do this remotely, my suggestion would be, it's not so important to know the market per se, because every street's going to be different. Every neighborhood's going to be different, and you will spend a lifetime trying to understand Salt Lake City, for instance, right? Or Phoenix, or whatever it looks like, whatever city you're talking about. I think what you should be focusing on is gaining a relationship with a handful of power buyers, right? Really understanding what will your disposition look like in that area. Create relationships with those 10 people, and then go out and find opportunities to fit those 10 people's requirements. And if you can do that, you literally are plucking fruit from a tree. It is that easy to get a check because they're already ready to strike. You now are just curating opportunities for them, and you're handing them to these buyers, and you're collecting your money.
Find out what they're looking for, then go look. I love that. In fact, the reason why that's so powerful is because flippers love to flip in the same neighborhoods they're already flipping.
Absolutely.
So when you can then find a lead kind of in their area and bring that to them, it's really powerful.
Yes.
So Cody, let's have you weigh in. So,
Okay.
you know, you're kind of like Jamil, where your business is volume. You guys do a lot of deals, and so you've got really good systems in place. How are you doing this? What would you say to someone that's going to brand new look at a virtual market that they would need to do to get started?
Two things. We failed miserably, and I'll tell you through the failure what we learned on how to pick it in the future. What we were doing in Salt Lake, we were on an average of like an assignment fee of about $22,000. Then we got smart thinking, oh my gosh, we heard there's so many deals you can do in Indiana. And so
It's always better somewhere else.
So we jump into this market, and like the second week we talked to the seller, and he's like, yeah, I've got 2 homes you guys could buy. And he's like, well, so $3,500. I'm like, okay, so $3,500 for each of these homes is what you're asking. He's like, oh no, $3,500 for both of my homes. And I'm like,
where am I at?
Like, this has got to be a home run. Like, I can even buy a trailer in Salt Lake for $3,500. Yeah. So I buy both of these homes, and we were lucky to make, I think we made $1,000 when everything was said and done. Like, no one wanted them. Like,
pretty low income.
Bad stuff. And we thought, man, we hit the jackpot. This is going to be like a $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 right out of the gate. This is going to be amazing. Well, also, meanwhile, we had this golden goose laying the golden egg in Salt Lake that no one was really tending to. And so we wanted to blow up over here, and we thought we had the right process in place over here. Well, meanwhile, the golden goose stopped laying the egg. And it was crucial to understand that when you pick a market, and if you're already in a market, make sure you really are dialed in that can keep going, because when we chased this other golden goose, this one died off, and we started going from 6 figures down to like 30,000. That doesn't even keep lights on in Salt Lake. We spend that in marketing every month, let alone the team we have. And so we had to literally pluck it out like cancer, like you would out of your body, because it was killing our business.
You really bring up a really good point. You know, the first question when people ask me, well, how do I virtual wholesale, is I say, well, why do you want to? And a lot of people think, well, it's got to be better somewhere else. And usually it's not. You know, like where you're at is great. Your backyard is amazing. Just get good at your backyard. Why do you need to go somewhere else? You know, so I think if you've got people living in houses, it probably works.
Yep.
You know, if you're worried about maybe, well, I'm rural, or we don't have a big enough market, there's not enough leads to go after. I get it. That's a thing.
It's hyper competitive.
Or it's you know, I live in Phoenix. I specialize in kind of higher end in Phoenix because it's so competitive in the mid ranges, because there's so many flippers. Right. So there is a time where maybe it makes sense. Or maybe you want it for the lifestyle, want to be able to just do deals without looking at them, and I've figured out some things, so why can't I do it somewhere else? All of those things make sense. But just know that, you know, ask yourself, well, first of all, why? Why do I want to do a virtual market? In your case, it was, we got a thing going here, let's go try to like open a new market was the idea. And you bring up a really good point. Hey, never take your eye off the ball on what's really working. And sometimes when you open a new market, you now become distracted and you lose focus. So,
shiny object syndrome, right?
Yeah. So Cody, let me ask you, in your remote market that you're really, you know, building the business in, how critical is the is the team on the ground, the eyes and ears on the ground. How critical is that? Can someone do it without having eyes and ears on the ground? Like you're up in Salt Lake, you got deals going on in Fort Worth. You know, how important is that team there?
I think you can. For us, our sweet spot though was we started by just implementing, now that we had the process, by the way, it was 2 years since Indiana. Like we really honed in, dialed in, got the momentum, the traction, got everything put into place. And if it's not written down, it doesn't exist. So you can't say it's a process by just saying, well, yeah, we know the process. Where is it written down? So we wanted to replicate it. So we did Dallas-Fort Worth. The reason why we picked Dallas-Fort Worth in first point is it also mimicked and mirrored Salt Lake. So now we're working on the same homes that actually did have the same type of money spread that you could make on these deals.
So it matched pretty good.
Correct. So that was huge. We did start virtually. So we had a guy that was only focused though on that. So you hear about the book, Gary Keller, The One Thing. We had one guy in the office, 1,000% just focused on Dallas-Fort Worth in Salt Lake.
Okay, so your acquisitions was not local to Dallas-Fort Worth.
We knew a guy that was down there, like our boots on the ground.
Go look at a house if you need to.
Yeah. Hey, can you inspect this and make sure it really passes what this guy said on the phone? So we had that dialed in, and then that guy said, hey, I really want this to be bigger than what it is. I'm willing to go live there for a year. And we're like,
okay,
I think this is fantastic.
Great idea.
How does your wife feel about this? And she's like, no, she's the one that suggested it. I'm like, fantastic.
Your idea, not my idea.
Yeah, get out there. So he's down there now, and that's how it's been able to grow. So our first year of
is it better having him there?
It is. Yeah. It is.
Because he can meet a seller?
It's really good. Yes. At the end of the day, can you virtual wholesale? Yes, I believe we've done it. And it's my own little opinion. It's not right or wrong, other than I just do better face to face. And I have that opinion. I'm like, oh man, face to face, like I'll outperform anyone, or my team will outperform anyone. Now, is that true? No, there's virtual wholesalers doing this all over the place.
So what Cody's referring to is, do you have someone there local on your team? So you're not there, right? So it's still virtual, but your team, your acquisitions closer is there local. He goes and meets with sellers face to face and closes in person. A lot of wholesalers, like, they're diehard about that. It works. It does work, obviously. And then others are like, I close on the phone. We don't ever go look at them. We close on the phone. We DocuSign on the phone, and we send someone to spot check the property to make sure it's not whack, you know. And we do it all on the phone. And so
the key thing,
you can do both.
I'd say the key thing though is everyone says like, what's your best marketing, Jerry? Here's the true answer: whatever you focus on. There is no one silver bullet. They're all great channels. It's what you focus on.
Leads work for a little while. They work differently in different markets. Depends on how you're working the lead. There's so many factors.
One you're going to follow up on. That's right.
That's
right. At the end of the day.
The one you're working right now.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's the best lead. Yeah, that's great. So then help me understand that. Maybe you can answer this, Jamil, because I think you do develop a team on the ground.
We do. I've always really been protective of time, and so I'm a phone closer, right? I'm very rarely going to go out and meet in public. Another thing for me, I just always felt a little bit insecure, like, oh, what is this person going to think about how I look, blah, blah, blah. What if, again, hang-ups and not real. Ugly, I know, but the beard hides a lot of it. So for me, I just was like,
Cody, he's pretty good looking. That's why he goes.
That's why he says I'm the best face to face, and I get it. Look at the guy.
Okay, so if you're good looking like Cody, go on appointment. If you're ugly like Jamil, close on the phone. Got it.
Or be the blue genie that I'm seeing on the ads. At least dress up. Come on.
So being protective of my time, I made my team protective of their time. Right. And so I was always like, listen, you don't want to leave until you have this, and this in play. I personally see it on the opposite side. I don't think acquisitions is so important to have on boots on the ground. I see the dispositions being important to have boots on the ground, because unless you can have somebody there to open the door, mitigate the conversation between the seller and the buyer, or if you have multiple buyers, mitigate that situation, that becomes a little bit difficult. Now, again, just piggybacking off what Cody said, what you focus on, you become really good at, right? And so they focus, he doesn't even care about that side of the business, because he knows that he can work all that out, just maybe even hiring somebody on Fiverr to go open a door. And so that doesn't become a problem for him. But the acquisition part is where they wanted to dial that in. And so I think that there's nothing wiser than that adage, is just be hyper-focused on what you're doing. And really then it's not so important who you have on the ground. Yes, we have boots on the ground, but I can tell you, we did a number of deals in Florida. We did a number of deals in Atlanta and I'd probably done 40 deals in Orlando before I ever stepped foot in the state.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Think about that. 40 deals, you didn't see one of them.
Not even a single one.
I feel like if there's one skill you could learn about doing deals virtually, it would be how to comp properties and get good at that. You can go anywhere then when you learn how to do that.
Comping is one of those things that I feel like I still do, right? It was the number one thing I did in day one when I first started in the business. It was when we were building Keegley, I was comping about 300 houses a day for my team, right? So it was the number one thing I did building a team. Now as a coach, it's the number one thing I do as a coach. On my YouTube channel, it's the number one watched video that I have. It's the thing.
Yeah, it's the most important skill.
It won't leave me. It'll never leave you. And in fact, if you can get good at it, if you can get really good at it, you can go from 0 to 10 in this business without any issues.
Because the two sides of closing with the seller and closing with the cash buyer, that's just mechanics. Whether you do it on the phone or you got a guy that does, or a staff or whatever, that's mechanics. But really understanding how to buy right, understanding value, then everything then can fall into place. I mean, would you agree?
Yes, and the key, but I think there's a key to this. You said you did 300 in a day, meaning not just repetition, you also can't spend more than, I try to tell my students, you better not spend more than 3 minutes or you are already spending too much time, because a lot of people fail to take action because they get stuck behind this computer screen saying, well, but what if it's not, and it's this, and what if it's this? And I'm just like, here's the secret, guys. Just go get it as low as possible. Period, the end. Like, that's it. Just go get it as low as possible. And that is like a perfect example. You can't comp 300 properties in a day spending an hour on each property. There's not enough hours.
You know, I think just
don't overthink it.
Don't overthink it.
If you're gonna pick virtual, go all in. Don't just tiptoe around it. Go all in and give it time. So many times I hear people digging and they're almost to the dime and they're like, this doesn't work. It's not working for me. So maybe I should pick a new market. And it's like, commit to a minimum of 6 months and really work it hard. If it's not finding a deal in 30 days, God bless you, keep going. 60, 90, keep going. Give it 6 months. Give it an honest effort. Go out there and give it your absolute best shot. Like someone kidnapped your kid. And if they said, go out there, you have to find me a deal in 30 days or you'll never see your kids again, I can promise you wouldn't be on YouTube University. No offense, we're all on YouTube. You wouldn't be sitting on your couch watching whatever new Netflix just came out. You would be out there every second of the day finding a deal because your why just changed. Someone was just taken from your family. You're never going to see them again. Now, the beautiful thing, guys, no one's taking your family. No one's taking your kids. But if you can give me that same effort, give your family that same effort, watch what happens. You're going to find a deal.
It's like the gun to your head. You know, if I put a gun to your head, would you do it? You'd get it done. You'd find a way and get it done. Love it, guys. So thank you. Hey, if you guys aren't already, make sure that you subscribe to both Jamil and Cody's YouTube channels. You guys are putting a lot of effort into that, and that's exciting to see your channels growing right now. I'll put the links in the description below for you guys, and both you guys are also very active on Instagram and social media. So if you're not already, make sure that you're following both these guys. There's just a wealth of knowledge. Give their heart and soul to the industry and with the education out there. So thank you guys again for being here. And
thank you,
hey, leave a comment and say, hey, Cody, you are a flipping genius, and Jamil, you are a flipping genius, if you really gained a lot of value out of this. And really honestly though, leave a comment and share maybe your big takeaway. Let us know if you do deals in your backyard or if you do deals remotely. Let us know about that and maybe how it's going. If you got any questions, maybe you guys can help me with any comments.
Glad to chime in.
But put those questions out there. We'll do our very best to get you some answers. If you're breaking in virtually or you want to get into virtual, then be sure to do that. And we'll see you guys on the next video.